you, if you read, that he quotes the book of Enoch. That's why he even quotes the book of Enoch. There's no question where Jude got it from. But wait a minute. Jude was an apostle of Jesus Christ. And he walked with Peter. So it's not really improbable, except for the fact that, hey, all the Hebrews had access to the book of Enoch. But let's just say for the sake of argument that only Jude had it. So then that would mean that Jude said, hey, check this out, Peter. And Peter wrote it in his letters. The book of Enoch. So even if you try to go that route with it, they still got it from the book of Enoch. But look what he said happened to the angels. What did they do? Go ahead and read.
Even as Sodom and Gomorrah.
What does even as mean? Just like. So he's comparing these angels to something that happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. He said these angels, just like Sodom and Gomorrah, what did these angels do that was just like Sodom and Gomorrah? Go ahead.
And the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication.
Wait a minute, give themselves over to what?
Fornication.
When did angels leave heaven and fornicate? In the days of Noah, in Genesis chapter 6 and Enoch chapter 6 and Jubilees chapter 5 and Antiquities 1.3.1 chapter 72. That's when they did it. They all left heaven, the 200 of them, and they fornicated with mortal women. And Jude is telling you that's just like what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. And go ahead.
And going after strange flesh.
And going after strange flesh,
are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire.
It says set forth the strange flesh. That word strange means another or belonging to another. Matter of fact, let's look that up. Strange, 2087 in the Greek. It said they went after strange flesh. Right here it said even as. I remember I showed this to one other brother. It said even as Sodom and Gomorrah. I said, what do even as mean? Oh, just like. He knew it off the top. So how were angels just like Sodom and Gomorrah? Then he kept reading. Fornication and going after strange flesh. I said, when did angels fornicate and go after strange flesh? And he just stared at me. I just stared back. I said, I think we both know the answer to that question. Right?
You said
2087. 2087.
2087.
Yeah, 2087 in the Greek. The word translated strange, as in strange flesh. And it said, even as Sodom and Gomorrah. 2087. Go ahead and read. What's the word?
Heteros.
Heteros. What does that sound like? Heterosexual. Right? Go ahead. What does it mean?
Another or the other or different.
It said another or the other or different. Strange flesh. In other words, different flesh. Flesh of another. But it said fornication though. This is an illegal sexual act. Go ahead.
Altered. Else.
Like else. As in someone else's. So what we got to do now, that's good. What we got to do now is read somewhere in the Bible where in Sodom and Gomorrah or in one of these other books where in Sodom and Gomorrah somebody went after somebody else's flesh. You follow what I'm saying? Because angels did the same thing, because we can show you that these women who they were sleeping with were married. Who these angels were sleeping with were married. They took them from their husbands and they slept with them. Because the word translated fornication can also be translated adultery. But let's see that. Let's go to Jasher. Jasher chapter 18 and verse 11. Because they went after strange flesh or someone else's flesh. That means in the sense of belonging to somebody else. And it says Sodom and Gomorrah did the same thing. So we should be able to read somewhere in Sodom and Gomorrah where this happened. Jasher chapter 18 and pick it up at verse 11. Jasher 18 verse 11. Go ahead and read.
In those days, all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah.
All the people of who?
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Go ahead.
And of the whole 5 cities.
And of the whole what?
5 cities.
Didn't it say in Jude, it said even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them?
Yeah.
Those 5 cities, right? Go ahead.
Were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. And they provoked the Lord with their abominations. And they strengthened in acting abominably and scornfully before the Lord. And their wickedness and crimes were in those days great before the Lord. And they had in their land a very extensive valley, about half a day's walk, And in it there were fountains of water and a great deal of herbage surrounding the water.
So they had this great valley with this great fountain. They used to all go here. Go ahead.
And all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah went there 4 times in the year, with their wives and children and all belonging to them.
With their wives and children. Little bitty boys and girls, young men and women. Go ahead.
And they rejoiced there with timbrels and dances. And in the time of rejoicing, they would all rise and lay hold of their neighbors' wives.
Wait a minute, they would lay hold on who?
Their neighbors' wives.
Isn't that someone else's flesh? Strange flesh? And what would they do?
And some, the virgin daughters of their neighbors, and they enjoyed them. And each man saw his wife and daughter in the hands of his neighbor, and did not say a word.
Can you imagine that? They standing by, watching somebody else screw their wife and their daughter. But it didn't matter because you were screwing their wife and their daughter. This was wickedness. This was